So I figured for today's video, I'd somewhat kill two birds with one stone. One, I just wanted to get some driving footage with the car. And then two, there's a certain topic that I've been wanting to talk about recently, and I just never was able to sit down and truly figure out what I wanted to say. So I guess I'll just kind of go off the cuff and see where that goes. But that topic is just why I continue to, at this point, pretty much exclusively drive Honda Accords. And I'll get into why I said that as soon as we get going. So aside from it simply being what I choose to drive and I guess my business, I guess the reason I decided to talk about this topic is the fact that I've actually been into cars since I was a kid. Like most of us, I guess, if you're watching this, I actually grew up really into BMWs. I didn't know much about the mechanics of any car, much less a BMW. But one of my aunts had a 1994 BMW, I want to say 325i. It was a dark green sedan, had a 5-speed manual, and I know that it was an inline 6. Now again, I've never been too familiar with the mechanicals of BMWs. It was simply a car that I liked on the surface level. That same aunt, has went on to own various Corvettes, Lexuses, so on and so forth. So I guess you can kind of say that's where my general love for cars started. As far as Hondas, it's another thing of familiarity. Most of my family members at some point or another own some Hondas. So I had a cousin who's the daughter of that same aunt who had a 2007 Honda Accord. She bought that new. That was the car that really got me into this particular platform. And she also had a 1993 Honda Del Sol. It was a base model S, so no VTEC or anything, but I absolutely loved that car to the point where I would almost beg to ride with her places. I had another aunt who had a 1994 Honda Accord. It was fully loaded, had every single option that was available with the exception of the little car phone that they offered. Nonetheless, without going off on too much of a tangent, I guess getting back on focus as to why I continue to own Honda Accords, it's really a matter of familiarity. I know that in my family's experience, they seem to be cars that were reliable, dependable, so on and so forth. So in short, reason number one is just familiarity. It's what I grew up around and became the most familiar with. Reason number two, in my own personal experiences with these cars, which dates back to my first car. My first car was a 1998 Honda Accord EX V6. So my channel used to be called Whitney, the 6th Generation Accord, and that was because my car, Whitney, was the focal topic of the videos. That car was my absolute pride and joy. It was the first car that I ever bought on my own, my first car that I owned in general, and it took me all throughout college, and it even lasted until I want to say my second year of teaching, and it was my pride and joy. But getting back to that topic of having to nickel and dime, the previous owner I think was pretty slack on maintenance, so when I got the car, I had to basically take on all of the things that were not performed. So the transmission had to be rebuilt, oil leak after oil leak, so on and so forth. Ultimately, I invested over $12,000 worth of maintenance into that car. But despite that, I still loved it. I adored it. The J30 is literally what's in this car right now. Of course, the one in the 6th Generation Accord was a slightly different version. That was an A1. I want to say, and I always get this wrong, I always mix it up between A4 and A5. This car has one of those. So nonetheless, I had that. I had a 2004 Honda Accord. That was the EXL with the K24 and the 5-speed manual. For a Honda Accord, it was really fun to drive, but of course it was not, the biggest on power or anything. But the fact that it was a manual kind of helped out with that. That car ended up developing some oil leaks as well. The AC stopped working randomly. I went to take it in for service one day and just decided, you know what, this would be my last time dealing with any of this. I'm just going to go ahead and sell it. But despite that, it was still a great car. Even if I was not to get those things fixed, I know the car would have continued running, without too many problems. Then I went on to get the car, or the other car that I still have right now, my 2014 Honda Accord EXL V6. That is my daily driver. That car sees the road far more than this one does. This one has kind of been relegated to either weekends like today or the occasional road trip or beach trip, so on and so forth. But my 2014 Honda Accord is really a workhorse, and as I've mentioned in the most recent video with that car, It's been 100% dependable, has never left me stranded in terms of actual mechanics. The only things have been either a battery or tires, and again, I've grown to become meticulous about making sure those things are properly handled and proactively handled as well. I had a 2014 Civic SI for a very short time, and it was a great car. It was really, really fun to drive. The most fun car that I've ever had, but it was really small. After having, at that point, 3 Accords, going to something that wasn't only a compact car, but also a compact coupe, because I had a 2-door, it was too much of a change, so I ended up trading it back in for my very own 2014 Accord. And then, of course, I added this car to my little fleet, I guess you can call it, in November, or maybe October of 2023. And it's been there ever since. But again, at this point, it is more so of a weekend kind of fun car. So I guess all of that is to say, my own experience, aside from just things that I was familiar with family members, my own experience with the cars is another important factor as well. And then I guess if I had to choose a third reason, the third reason would be the fact that the Honda Accord, for most of its life cycle or lifespan, has been the fun option if you were looking for a mid-size sedan. There was a certain point where Nissan started to do some fun things with the Altima, like the SCR, so on and so forth. But for the most part, the Honda Accord held that title on its own. For each generation that I've owned, I think it's been far more interesting of a car to drive than, let's say, the Camry of that very same time period. The Accord has always been the more fun one to drive. Now, this one that I'm driving in particular right now, of course, it's the V6 6-speed sedan, so a little bit of a rarity. There is some debate on just how many of these were produced. I'm the first person to always admit that, you know, on the surface, this car is a boring, arguably slow family sedan with truly no or not too much appeal. If you don't know what it is. And some might argue, even in knowing what it is, it's still not a sports car. And listen, who am I to argue? But I can say that if I were to compare this to driving something like a boring, you know, Camry of that same time span, or a Hyundai Sonata, or even a baser model Accord, you know, this is, relatively speaking, I'm willing to admit, a fun car to drive. And since I know that it's a little bit more rare than just some standard 7th generation Accord, even with the V6 and an automatic, you know, I hold it near and dear to my heart. Now, is that to say I will only ever own Hondas? Absolutely not. There are plenty more cars that I want, but for where I'm at in life, I need something that I can enjoy, like this, or my other car as well. I need something that's going to be pretty reliable, like this and my other car. I need something that's going to be practical, economical, so on and so forth. And these cars just continue to check all of those boxes. Now, if I was in a place where I could financially afford any car that I wanted, I still have these, but I'd also have some more that, you know, were far more appealing and fun and interesting, so on and so forth. But for the time being, I really don't think, particularly a person who is on the younger end like myself, for reference, I'm 24, I really don't think a younger person could ask for a better platform to start out with. You know, if you end up having kids, there's still enough room for them. You end up getting married, there's still enough room for yourself, a spouse, and both of your stuff, so on and so forth. It's the perfect car to take on road trips. It's the perfect car to go back and forth between work/school. It's the perfect car to go grocery shopping. And mine, you know, if I want to have some fun, it's the perfect car to do that in as well. So as I get to my destination, I guess, I just want to reiterate the fact that I know it's not a special car on the surface, but the fact that I've continued to buy, at this point, 4 of them, I think it speaks to, I guess, what I see in the car personally. But I trust that I'm not alone in recognizing just how much of a staple the Honda Accord is. Now, the 11th generation Accord is the first one that's come out in my lifetime that I've had absolutely zero interest in ever owning. My least favorite generation of the Accord prior to the 11th gen was the 8th gen Accord. I just always thought they looked kind of awkward and frumpy. Second to that would be the pre-refresh 7th gen, so 2003 to 2005. Despite owning one, I think the back end of those is just gross. So I'm happy that for 2006, they actually decided to rectify that. But the 11th generation Accord is the only one that I just have no interest in owning now, nor ever getting. The powertrain being neutered, of course, I say it's an issue, but let's be honest, the fun version of the Accord was just not a hot seller. And I can't fault Honda for thinking what was going to be more profitable. As I've said in a video before, if car enthusiasts were the true focus of, you know, the automotive industry in general, then they can justify making, you know, a car like this that has a 6-speed, a V6, and 4 doors. But of course, in today's market, where one, everybody is going to SUVs, and two, people are starting to really push towards either full electrification or, at the bare minimum, hybridization, you know, it would be unreasonable for them to make, or for us to expect them to make, exactly what we want. And with that, you know, again, the 11th generation has just kind of negated most of what I said about the Honda Accord being such an appealing vehicle. Of course, they're still selling. I see them every day, multiple every day, but, you know, it's undeniable that it's not as popular of a car as previous generations of the Accord. Nonetheless, that's just my quick spill on, I guess, one, why I continue to buy the cars, and two, some things that make them appealing in general.